Today we're going to be installing these forks into my triple clamps.
I've been using factory connection for over a year now. They service and rebuild my suspension every 50 hours or as the seals need attention.
Underneath we got our forks.
I made the jump to kit suspension when I moved into B class last year, as I hoped it would give me an advantage against a more competitive field of riders. These forks are upgraded with the WP XACT Pro 6500 kit, which is designed to convert the WP air forks into a closed cartridge coil spring system. It's considered a high performance drop-in kit that provides a performance similar to premium cone valves at a lower cost. I got these installed by factory connection and I've been thrilled with the setup ever since.
So I sent these out Monday after work, probably around 6 p.m. and I got them back on Friday around 9 a.m. One day there, one day back, and one day for them to service it. They do a great job too. My suspension always feels consistent. I really like how this spring conversion kit is. I got the WP 6500 kit in here. Real quick, before we can install these forks, I'm gonna have to take out these bolts and we gotta clean the threads and clean up all that anti-seize from the last install. I use anti-seize as per the install instructions. The anti-seize attracts dirt, it just needs to clean. It's important that you do this. You don't wanna have any sand in the threads. All the sand's gonna do is mess up your reading when you torque it with a torque wrench.
I picked up these Gen 3 Luxon Triple Clamps last year in search of more front-end stability. The KTM was having stability issues in off-road racing, and the headset would shake out of control and felt inconsistent cornering left compared to right. The forks had already been upgraded, so I knew it wasn't that.
Now before I get too ahead of myself, I gotta spin this top triple clamp around. Looks like it hits the gas tank. Just gonna pop this cap off. With that strap all rigged up, now when I put the front forks on, the bike won't tip too far to the front.
I chose Luxon MX to replicate pro rider setups like Jeff Walker to be specific. I went with the 23.5mm offset in comparison to the stock offset of 22mm.
So I go to the second dash. Once I have that pretty close to where I want it, I'm just going to take this bottom triple clamp and tighten it right up. We're not fully torquing these right now. I'm just having them tight so that they hold the fork tube in place. Just connected all these wires and ran them through these slots. Just like the other side, we're gonna roughly line it up at 2 dashes and then snug it up to hold it in place.
If you're unfamiliar with the term offset, you're not alone, because so was I. In short, it's described as the distance between the center of the steering stem and the center line of the fork tubes within the triple clamps. Although these triple clamps are only 1.5mm different from stock, that small change makes a big difference in the geometry of the bike, and as a result, its handling.
Everything's in place with the fork. Now what I'm gonna do is head over here to the steering stem. Next, over at the steering stem, I'm gonna go ahead and tighten down our steering stem adjuster.
Another cool feature about these Luxon triple clamps is that they also come with a steering stem stiffness adjusting nut. These clamps replace KTM's unconventional steering stem pinch bolt system and use a more traditional double nut system. This is easier to make adjustments to on the fly, as well as a more durable design. Here I'm tightening up the steering stem, and then I take the forks and I twist them back and forth to see if the steering stem is at the tightness that I like.
Starting to get really tight now. That's where I like it. If it's too loose or if it's too tight, we'll adjust it at the end, but I can start and feel it lock up, and that's how I like it. So let's get this top piece all torqued up. So if you can read there, it says 100 Newton meters, Loctite 243. Go ahead and throw some blue Loctite right on the threads of the nut here. Did the calculation on my phone. 100 Newton meters comes out to 74 foot-pounds. So I'm gonna go over here and set this thing to 74 foot-pounds. That's 74. All right, let's go ahead and torque this thing out.
This front end setup is sick, but it's nothing if you improperly torque key pieces like the steering stem, triple clamp pinch bolts, and the bar mounts. The order in which parts are torqued also plays a role in the front end feel. Even with the best parts out there, if they're not set up right, they won't serve their purpose. Luxon MX has a great detailed instructions, which I'll leave in the description.
And there we go. I always like to go 2 times. There we go. Got plenty of Loctite on there too, as you can see. And I always set the torque wrench back to 0 so that it stays calibrated. Just get this out of the way. This thing's slowly starting to look more and more like a dirt bike now. Steering stem's all tight. Let's get a final adjustment on the fork height now. 2 dashes. Using the preload right there to judge. Looks pretty straight. Everything looks good there. Head over to this right side now. Do the exact same thing. Let's make sure it's set at 2 dashes on the fork height. Make sure that it's straight. Alright, and we'll just snug this back up so that it holds it. Alright, so now we know that fork height wise everything is good. What we're going to do now is torque all this up. So these call for 8 Newton meters on the bottom. 8 Newton meters is equal to 6 foot-pounds. So that's what I have it set to, and we're going to torque it out. You want to make sure that you tighten them at the same time. Go back and forth so that they torque evenly. Get that first click. So let's go to the other side and do that too. There you go. See, I just go in like a 1/4 of a turn.
Over tightening these bolts will cause binding, which will result in premature wear on your parts and a harsh suspension feeling. That's why it's important to take care when you're tightening up these bolts.
Just make sure you're matching torques. Double check them. Bottom is all set. Let's go up to the top. Top calls for 12 Newton meters, which is equal to 9 foot-pounds. So I'm going to go ahead and raise this up to 9. There's 9. Let's go ahead and torque these up. The torque wrench is really designed just to put the last bit of torque on the bolts. So I like to drive them in for the most part with my hands or with a regular wrench. Then using the torque wrench, I'll do the last bit of the threads. Those are all driven in for the most part. Now we're going to torque them out. Same thing, just go back and forth. Make sure that you torque them evenly. There we go, and let's do the same thing on this side. Double check. Alright, and lastly, we have the handlebars. I have not yet taken these bolts out and cleaned these up, so I'm going to do that now.
Another front end mod that I have here is the 4-post handlebar mounts by Luxon MX.
I decided that there's still a good amount of anti-seize left on these bolts, so for the most part, I'm just peeling away any big pieces of dirt that got stuck in there, or just old anti-seize. It seems like I put more than enough on at the last time, so there's still a lot of anti-seize left on the threads.
These bar mounts absorb vibration, hard hits, and track roughness without compromising steering precision.
Alright, everything's all cleaned up. Now that I have all that cleaned up, I'm going to set my handlebars. So I'm actually going to roll these back all the way. I'm going to roll these back all the way until they're at the 1. So these could go one more notch. These could go one more notch back. I have them at the number 1 setting.
I like to roll my bars back for better stability. These bar posts come with 3 bushing sets to fine-tune feel. I set mine up with the yellow bushings, which have a medium firmness.
Another nuance with this Luxon bar mount system that I have here is that the front bolts need to be torqued before the back bolts. So I'm just simply going to snug these up to hold the bars in place and make sure that our setting stays consistent.
They also offer the ability to be installed in the forward or back position. I set mine up in the forward position, which more closely resembles stock. I honestly haven't experimented with the back position because I felt like the front end was dialed in.
I'm going to drive these back bolts in so that they snug up, and we'll grab our torque wrench and torque them out. Just making sure that our handlebars are set where I want them. We're still at 1, nothing moved. I'm going to torque these front bolts to 9 foot-pounds. Once I get the front, now you're good to go to the back. As always, I just like to go ahead and double check all of them. Obviously be careful not to torque them too much, but just double check. Make sure that everything's really set. There we go. Handlebars are secure. Forks are in, everything's looking good. This isn't torqued down, this is loose, so I can torque it when I have the bike off the stand. It's just enough to keep this nut in place. Next, what I'm going to do is throw the swing arm in.